There we go.
I wonder if it filmed me saying, do it.
Is it? Are we on? Are we good?
Yep, it's doing
Sweet,
it.
we got it. All right. So I have a confession I told you about.
Is
before.
it juicy?
It's very juicy.
Okay.
And you have to promise not to tell. Don't tell anyone. You have to promise not to tell anyone, except the 5 people who are watching this video. Like, do not tell.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody. It'll ruin me.
Okay.
I thought 13 Reasons Why was about a murder. I didn't know. I had no idea what 13 Reasons Why was when it started. I had no idea. I didn't know it was a book until after I finished the first season. And then, like, it all comes rolling around, and, like, the show starts, and about 3 episodes in, I realized, oh, she committed suicide. I'm not laughing that she committed suicide. I'm laughing at the fact that it took me way too long to figure out that this was about a suicide. I thought, through the film, the show, that it was going to be revealed that she was actually murdered.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then it showed the actual suicide at the end of season 1. And I was like, oh, I should have realized. Nope, that's a darn well suicide right there. I really thought it was going to be a murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very embarrassed. By myself, because nobody knew until now. But
Yeah.
it's a little tidbit
That's fine.
into the trailers made it look all intense, like,
Yeah.
I'm dead now, and if you are listening to this, then you're the reason why. And I was like, oh, a bunch of these people came together and killed her, except for one person who she gave the tape to, so that he, I didn't know they all had the tapes. I thought he was the only one who had the tape.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was very confused about the whole rules in the tapes.
Yeah.
That you listen to them, pass it on to the next person. I didn't know they were supposed to do that, and I was so lost that everybody else had listened to these tapes, and I'm like, how do you know about the tapes? How do you know about the tapes? Like, how does everyone know about these tapes? And then it turns out, oh, they each were supposed to listen to them. Okay. Whoops. Except for one person was not supposed, and I'm going to put a spoiler thing in our disclaimer, because we're going to be spoiling everything. In fact, Debbie has never seen the show, so I'm spoiling high heaven here.
I don't care.
I'm never gonna watch it.
No.
Kayla was like, should I watch? No. Not because it's not a good show, and that's what we're kind of going into today, is about, not just about this show, but just about other shows in general. But I can tell you flat out, you and Kayla will not enjoy that show.
I'm just not interested. If I was interested, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm just not.
I mean,
So-
isn't that supposed to be on a t-shirt? If I'm interested, I'll watch it.
Yeah. I just don't care. But I'm really picky, so.
That's okay. It's okay to be picky.
Yeah.
Well, look at me.
Sometimes I think I'm a little too picky, but, that's okay.
Have you seen the way I get about female protagonists?
Yeah, but there's a lot you do like, too, so.
That's so sweet of you to say. Can you tell Kayla that?
You were just listing off, like, a lot of female characters you liked earlier. So.
I did. I was justifying it all to Debbie, and Debbie's like, why are you telling me this? Tell Kayla. No, Kayla's awesome. I'm just kidding. I'm not really kidding. She's the devil. She makes fun of me all the time for not liking female protagonists in stupid movies. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Kayla. If you're watching this, you're probably not. She doesn't even watch our reviews. I'm like, do you want to watch the review now? Not really. No. I'm making Kayla have to be awful, actually. What I'm going to say is that tonight's topic is about censoring. Censoring triggers, keeping things from people when they want to watch or read or see it.
Mm-hmm.
And is it right, or is it just really not fair? Or is it just really unnecessary? Because I think that it's okay if you have a show where you, as the creator, feel like, I don't want to show that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to censor that scene.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a show that is, and all 3 of these shows that we will be talking about, and then a few shows that we brought up and we were talking about,
mm-hmm.
are TVMA, you should know it's going to be intense and violent and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's going to have something that gives it a mature rating. And I don't feel like anything should be censored if the creators themselves don't want to censor it. That's just kind of where I stand on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I grew up with censoring. I think that we were just talking about how our school it was a private school, and it was a Christian school, and
mm-hmm.
there was a lot of books that were not allowed there, but we watched certain things through the cracks. Like, I think one of the least serious ones getting banned, and I remember that, was Pokemon.
Yeah.
Of the devil.
And I think that all started with, I think there was a pastor that was giving a sermon on it, and it just kind of caught on like wildfire.
Wildfire!
Like, yeah.
Pokemon is of the devil. My parents were like, what the heck is that? They didn't know what it was.
My parents knew and they didn't care. So
I think my parents did know they wouldn't care.
Yeah. I mean,
my parents didn't.
But I remember being, in, gosh, what grade would it have been? First grade, second grade.
Oh, yeah,
before Pokemon got banned, I remember being at recess, being at recess, trading Pokemon cards and everything, and it was super fun. We had fun. And then suddenly, just like overnight, practically, it was all banned. No more Pokemon. Yeah. And nothing Pokemon related was allowed.
To this day, we have no idea what was said, but the people in authority were under the impression that it needed to be banned. And yet, you saw somebody with folders.
I think part of the pastor's rationale might have been that it's like, they're called pocket monsters. They're like little demons or something. And I'm like, okay.
Not all monsters are demons. Put that on a t-shirt. Not all monsters are demons.
I think that it got flack because it was popular.
Yeah. You're just jealous because they'd rather watch Pokemon instead of you. No.
I mean, would 13 Reasons Why be getting so much flack if it wasn't hugely popular? Probably not.
Maybe. I don't know. Let me read you some of the...
Okay.
Let me read you some of the, people get very... I was gonna say that we're gonna be talking about a few shows tonight, but 13 Reasons Why, let's go ahead and kind of talk about that one. And people are angry about this show, and not just the people who don't like the show. People who do like the show are angry. It's just, there's a lot of anger going around, and I get it. I get it that, like, when you see something about a show you love, and someone is telling you to kill yourself, which is ironic.
Yeah.
I hate this show because it glorifies suicide. Kill yourself if you watch it. Like, what? What? It's counterintuitive, but okay.
Yeah.
I get that if you see something like that, that's very hurtful. I'm not exactly affected by it. I've been told constantly to kill myself for liking a show. Mm-hmm. I'm from fandoms that the fandoms themselves are wonderful, but, like, people who don't like the show absolutely hate you if you like the show. I've been through that ever since I was a little chickling. There were some very controversial animes out there. And it was like, you like that show? How dare you like that show? Shunned. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Move. You're blocking the TV. It's like when Evan came up to me the other day and he was like, Janice, you really shouldn't watch Rick and Morty. It's very inappropriate.
Evan was trying to lecture you on what you should be watching.
Dude, I don't give a fuck what you say.
Who's the kid here? It's like...
He's 16-year-old. Get out of the way. I can't hear the TV.
Why didn't he think you should be watching Rick and Morty?
It's inappropriate, and my parents were around, and he wanted to just look good in front of them.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude.
He knows that your mom's interested in Rick and Morty, right?
I don't know. Sorry. Even if they, like, my mom has this, it's really funny. She might watch this, and she's gonna be like, no, I don't! But you do! Like,
at least showing a little interest in
love, right? Like, she keeps asking questions about it and everything. But more importantly, what's really funny is my dad has no idea what Rick and Morty is. Like, Evan's all like, I'm gonna be, like, the cool kid, and I'm gonna be like, hey, Janice, you should be watching Rick and Morty. It's wrong. It's inappropriate. And my dad's like, what's that? It's like, oh,
and he would
adult cartoon. Okay.
I mean, you can watch what you want. You're 28 years old.
Cares. No one cares.
Your parents don't care.
Or at least the people who care to me, like my friends, don't give a crap, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you watch. We watch the same stuff, really, and if, like, one of us doesn't watch one, it's like, that is perfectly fine. But there are some people out there who don't necessarily agree. Now, I do agree that there is one particular very close friend of mine who does not like the show in any way, shape, or form, and she reblogs a few of these particular messages, and I'm kind of like, whoa! It's a little unnecessary that you have to agree with that person, you know, but I'm not mad. Because it's a show.
And we're talking, are we talking about 13 Reasons Why? We're talking about Rick and Morty.
Oh, 13 Reasons Why.
Okay.
I really haven't seen anybody complain to this extent about any show, really. Like, this show is getting people mad. Yeah. And I think that it's a good thing because it's good to have a purpose that this show has is to get people riled up.
I think that isn't people's biggest beef with it is they feel like it's like glorifying suicide.
I think so because that's what I'm seeing on a lot of these comments here. So Mariana sent me some comments that she saw reblogged from friends of hers and also in the 13 Reasons Why tag on Tumblr instead of it being anti. Some of them are labeled anti, and that's very nice. Thank you for putting it anti. But it was reblogged by a friend who, you know, you can tag it all you want. It's on your blog. We're friends of yours, and we're going to see it. There's a few that are a little bit like, oh, that's just an opinion, that's fine. But there are a few that are like, oh, okay. Alrighty then. And I would like to read some of them.
Okay.
An excerpt, if you will, because it's actually kind of funny.
Okay.
My personal opinion, I think it's very funny. So let me just read you some of these interesting ones. The creators of 13 Reasons Why ignored any advice actual suicide counselors and psychiatrists were trying to give them, and instead decided to do its gross romanticization of suicide. And anyone who watches and enjoys it is supporting these despicable, greedy jackasses.
Okay.
So, unpopular opinion time, which is pretty much going to be this video. As someone who is in therapy and has spoken with my therapist, and someone who has also spoken with people who are in therapy because they try to kill themselves. I tried to kill myself twice, actually. I know. And I have a mental illness. I have bipolar disorder. So I'm suffering depression right now. I am on medication, I am in counseling, and I have an amazing support group. With that being said, though I did read the article that someone sent me about the psychiatrists and the counselors who did not like this show and said you should not make it. Some said you shouldn't make it. Some said you shouldn't put this in the show. Mm-hmm. Some people said, you know, this is a very bad idea. I don't feel like they were doing their job. Now, the only reason I say that is because, and I said this to my therapist and he actually agreed with me, everybody has their own way of coping with what they went through. Everybody has their own way of dealing with their suicide attempt, with their mental illness. Some of us like to watch things that have it in there. The what-ifs, if you will. What if I did kill myself? The world is not going to stop turning, is what I thought. It's just going to get better for everybody. And for people who kind of make fun of it and say, you know, so apparently if people are mean to you, you should kill yourself. I tried to because people were mean to me. That's a petty reason, I know, but no one has the legit reason for trying to kill themselves. It's a terrible, like, it is depression that plays on your mind and makes you think that you should kill yourself. It's just the best way out. It's the only way out. And I felt that Hannah Baker was perfectly portrayed that way. But as one of my coworkers said when I told him I was suicidal, he's like, you know, people are going to tell you that the world keeps turning. That is a lie. For the people who love you, the world just ends when you kill yourself. And I feel this show portrays that really well. People are devastated. Mm-hmm. People are angry in the show about the suicide of a 16-year-old girl. Her parents, their lives are ruined. Clay's a mess. And I think that is an accurate portrayal of someone, of what that does to someone. Mm-hmm. And even one of the characters called her a coward. She cuts herself. And she was like, you know, this is what people do when they don't want to kill them, when they're smart enough not to kill themselves, you know? And she is suicidal, but she cuts herself to help herself. That is what we do when we are depressed. We self-harm, we get angry, we do things that are not smart, but we do it anyway. And those psychiatrists and people who are saying, no, this is a bad idea, you aren't properly giving any type of fairness to, you should know that we all have our own reasons, we all have our own coping ways, we all have our own story. We should be allowed to have a show like this.
Well, so I have a question. So, like, yes. the therapists were angry about, like, any of the, like, were they angry about the suicide being depicted, or what exactly were they angry about that they told them to change?
Some of them were very angry about showing the suicide.
Okay.
Some of them were very angry about the rape scenes.
Okay, so did they just want that stuff taken out entirely, or just referenced, or did they want the show just canceled, or did they...
Yeah, it was a mix of different ones, and some of them either really wanted the rapes and the suicides not to be shown, and some of them just didn't want them to make the show entirely. Okay. So it was either, yeah, okay, but take this out, in which we, as the viewers who like the show, didn't want that. We want that in there. We want to be subjected to it. This is our way of coping. This is our way of healing. Mm-hmm. And then some of them were like, no, do not make this show. And then you guys were just being ridiculous. Like, sorry, unpopular opinion. But I even said it to my therapist, because I was like, I wonder what he thinks of the show. Mm-hmm. And he completely was like, no, I mean, this is your way of, like, seeing for yourself how my parents would have reacted. Mm-hmm. And how my friends would have reacted. And people didn't necessarily, like, end up on the tapes for being mean to her, per se. Some of them were. Some of them were awful. But some of them were her friends, and they had a fight. And then she just, reacted as a teenager would.
Do we know, like, the creators' intent, the people who made the show? Like, do we know their intent? Like, because... Did they make any kind of statement like, hey, we're trying to, like, raise awareness, we're not trying to, like, glorify it or anything? Did they, like, make some statement? But people,
they did.
But people just don't believe them?
No, they don't, like, some people don't believe them, some people don't want to believe them. Yeah. Some people don't know. Some people are like, I don't know what the heck this is about. I kind of just want to stay away from it because it's causing so much drama on both ends. So that one was kind of more just somebody who had a different opinion, and that's totally cool. But then we got this one. So, I hope everyone who likes 13 Reasons Why and thinks there's nothing wrong with it has to fight suicidal thoughts every fucking night. Like, wishing suicidal thoughts on someone?
Okay.
I mean, what? Like, do you realize that's how it sounds? I mean, maybe that wasn't your intent when you wrote this, but that's kind of what you're saying. There, like,
sounds like a pretty edgy 13-year-old
very edgy.
Wrote that. I don't know.
It's edgy. I get it. You're mad, but I mean, I already do. I mean, I do, but not because you wished it, just because it happens. There's one people who feels that 13 Reasons Why sucks because it justifies a near school shooting and a stalker by bullying him and raping him, and my battery powered off. So I'll just say them. There was one that says. So nothing new, but 13 Reasons Why glorifies suicide, and anyone who likes it can choke.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that one makes me laugh because nothing new. I mean, I didn't want to choke. This is the first I've heard of it that I can go ahead and choke for liking the show. You know?
With some of these comments, it's hard to know if people are, like, legitimately angry or if they're just jumping on the bandwagon.
Or if they're jumping on the bandwagon.
You can't know for sure, really. Yeah. I mean, but...
Yeah. And personally, I had a friend who was very hurt by this. This really hurt her. And I get that. But she got angry. Mm-hmm. And then she lashed out. And she kind of hurt me unintentionally by lashing out. And I kind of was like, why do you care what they think? Like, I look at this and I'm like, ow. But I'm not going to think about it anymore. I mean, that one made me laugh. I'm sorry. That makes me laugh. Can choke. You can choke? Like, this is counterintuitive here. Like, if you're wanting to support anti-abuse, anti-suicide and such, and yet telling people they can choke. It's a very teenage reaction, personally.
All of these reactions seem pretty extreme to me over a fictional show.
But... Yeah, and this is the most extreme I've ever seen people get about a show. And I think that the two things that really affect people, and the other two shows that I've watched that people get really angry about, the two things, and the words themselves even trigger people and upset people, is rape and suicide. Mm-hmm. And all three of these shows have them in there. Mm-hmm. Now, There was a very, 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 very brutal rape at the end of season 2 of 13 Reasons Why. At the very beginning, it is like trigger warning city about like this episode contains graphic violence against a teenager. It is very, viewer discretion advised. I mean, it's like, it is there. And I was like, oh, wow. It did the same thing as season 13 because season 13.
I think you said that earlier too.
That's what it does to me.
You're getting ahead of yourself. They'll get
myself.
They'll get there eventually.
Supernatural. Season 1, episode 13, because each season has 13 episodes, because 13 reasons why you should keep watching the show. No. But at the end of season 1, the brutal moment was her killing herself, which was very, very sad. And different from the book. And one of my friends who absolutely hates the show loved the book.
Okay.
So it's not that she hates the concept of this story, she hates how it's done in the show.
Yeah, because didn't you say in the book she died from, overdosing?
I think it was an overdose.
Is that what you told me? I think
it was.
and they made it more graphic in the show.
Sworn. And I actually liked that they did the razor thing, I hate to say. Not that I want to critique how a person should kill themselves, but it felt more power with the fact that she is sitting there in her own bleeding out blood.
It's hard
contemplating.
See, I get why people might, if they're comparing that to the book, and if the book has, I can see why people might be.
Totally.
Yeah, did they make it too gratuitous? But the fact is, some people do kill themselves that way. Not everyone kills themselves by overdosing, and
sadly,
should they have been accurate to the book? I don't know. That's kind of debatable, but
I personally am glad that they weren't, because I thought the book was boring. No offense to anyone who loves the book. Mariana, you're about to read the book. Read the book. Great book, guys. Awesome book. Read the book. It's amazing. I just nodded off a few times. It kind of bored me. I'm sorry. I watched it. I read the book after watching the show, and I was so emotionally affected by the show, and then I was reading the book, and I was just like, okay, well, this is dragging. But that's just me. That's just me. I mean, I'm just waiting for the spears. But season 2, very brutal rape. And they had a trigger warning, and people were very, very upset. But a lot of people were upset were the people who already didn't like the show. So why are you watching? But there were a few people who watched it, and they were really upset by that. And they were like, this show should be canceled. And some people were like, they put a trigger warning. And they're like, well, they didn't put a good enough one. And I'm like, what is good enough of a trigger warning for you? Because I thought it was pretty good of a trigger warning.
Yeah.
I mean, no. Was I prepared for the moment? No, but sometimes that's what I want. I want to be subjected. I'm going into this show wanting to be subjected to this stuff.
I feel like, with trigger warnings, I think some people think that they're entitled to trigger warnings, but I think that they don't realize that that's a favor that the creator of the show is doing to you. They don't have to do that. They're not required to.
Especially a TVMA show.
I mean, it's perfectly fine if they want to have the warnings, but they don't have to, and that's their right. They don't have to.
Agreed.
They might not want to reveal what's going to happen. They might want it to be, they might want it to catch you off guard. But then in that case, you have to go by the show rating, and in some cases, maybe even read ahead about the show if you're really concerned that it might have some material in it.
If there are things that are going to... This is season 2 of the show. So you knew season 1 had things that were upsetting. You should know season 2 is going to be upsetting. That's when it becomes the viewer's responsibility, personally.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we're adults. And
you sure?
I mean, mentally we can't decide that. But we're adults and we're going into this and we're aware of the fact that this is TVMA. And there are some teenagers who are watching it. Should they be watching it? That's not for me to decide. If they can handle it, that's fine. But if there are people that are upset about it, I'm like, I'm sorry, but this is TVMA. It's for mature audiences.
Yeah.
So when you tell someone they can choke when you don't like, when you like the show, that's not very mature.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
But that was the one that causes the most anger on both sides.
I feel like when you object to it, though, I feel like people are gonna think you're being like, you know, like insensitive, and that, you know, it's like, oh, you don't care about, you know, my mental health and such, and it's, but it's like, I know it's,
they're not allowed to dislike it, is what I've been told. Like, why am I not allowed to dislike this show? It's like, oh, no, you can dislike it, just don't tell me to choke, you know?
Yeah.
You dislike it? That's fine.
Like, we're not saying these things to be, like, insensitive. Right. We're just saying you can't expect shows and other forms of media to, like, cater to you.
Yeah.
And you also can't expect them to read your mind. Yeah. To know, you know? It's just...
already, like, especially here in America, we already have to watch what we say that could upset someone. We have to watch what we do that could upset someone. Our life is walking on eggshells. We want to sit down and turn on a TV show and not have to feel like we need to watch what we like. You know? Like, I'm just not going to give a flying flip that you don't like that I like it. It's fine if you don't like the show, but getting mad at me for disliking or liking the show is like, I don't care. I like what I like. Yeah. You do you. I'll do me. Let's stay out of each other's personal bubble here, you know?
I mean, you and me included, but, like, you know, I think that a lot of people get very passionate about shows. I mean, you and me definitely do. And, and that can be passion in the form of loving it or hating it. Yes. And it just can be so, just one extreme or the other, or anywhere in between, but it's like, man, when people hate a show, they really hate a show.
They sure do.
I feel like more so than in the past, you know?
Very much so.
It's like...
Well, we were talking about that, like, there's animes that came out when we were growing up, and they didn't have any trigger warnings, like, none. And it was on Adult Swim, we were in bed, or we were allowed to watch it, and we weren't given any warning.
Once in a while, there would be a warning if there was going to be, like, extreme violence or something. Once in a blue moon. Yes. I think maybe for the original Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Maybe one other show. It's maybe on
Brotherhood.
Maybe on Wolf's Rain. Too.
Oh, yeah, Wolf's Rain got a trigger warning.
Towards the end, it got pretty violent in the last episode or two. So there might have been a warning.
So it was kind of like shows that were normally not that violent. If they had an episode that was going to be, like, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, I remember, was like, it was TV-14 for most of it, but then there were certain episodes that were TVMA. Yeah. And so they would do a trigger warning. And we were already in for the long haul, you know, but nobody was expecting the trigger warning. Nobody was demanding it. Yeah. Because we're awesome. No. We just didn't... I just don't recall ever demanding censorship or anything like that. But you were just, like, something came to mind?
Hmm? Oh, just when I was talking about shows that had the warning, I was thinking, like, I think that Trinity Blood might have had a warning like that.
Yes, Trinity Blood did have a warning, but I don't recall Cowboy Bebop ever having a warning.
I don't think so.
I don't recall Inuyasha having a warning.
No,
the warning was it's Adult Swim, get out of the pool. I mean, it was basically like this is rated this.
When Adult Swim would start up for the night, they would let you know. I think they changed it over time. I think at first it was like, hey, this is like 14 and up stuff, and then I think later they might have raised it, but it's like, yeah.
Like, our trigger warning was maybe at the very beginning was basically, like, the shows around this time are graphic or have sexual stuff.
Adult Swim can have some pretty raunchy stuff.
Very.
And it can have stuff that isn't that bad. Like, I feel like a lot of their anime they played really wasn't that
bad.
They're original.
Can you bring back the anime to Adult Swim?
Well, they have Toonami for that now.
But I don't... Saturday night.
But I never think to watch it.
I'm in bed.
I never think to watch it, though. I don't hardly even watch TV. But...
There's nothing to watch anymore.
I feel
except for Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty doesn't have any censoring or trigger warnings or anything like that. I swear it doesn't. I watch it live and I never see anything. People who go into it already know it's a disturbing show.
Yeah.
And they don't get upset. I haven't seen people get upset.
Well, and what about something like Family Guy? Or they ever have warnings for that?
I don't
think
I don't watch that one.
But actually, I did used to watch it on Adult Swim, and I don't remember there ever being warnings. I could have. I think I would remember. I don't think that they ever had any warnings.
So cartoons get a pass, I guess.
You could argue that Family Guy really didn't give a crap if they offended anybody, and they didn't.
These shows are
care,
fine offending people. Even Rick and Morty, I remember the creators in a commentary talking about how they were worried that a joke was going to offend people, and they were thinking about taking the joke out, but then Justin said, no, let's just run with it. We don't mean to offend people with this joke. We're just pointing something out and making it funny. You know, we're taking something that normally people get offended by, and we're making fun that people are offended by it. Mm-hmm. People love the joke. No one got upset about that joke. They were completely prepared to be told to take out the joke, and the Cartoon Network, like, executives thought it was hilarious. And so, you know, I that's awesome. And I think that's really cool. But Game of Thrones, one of the shows that I would mention is constantly asked to censor, and it's like, no, this is Game of Thrones. It is known for violence. It is known for sexual innuendo. It is known for the language. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we're not censoring. I'll tell you that darn much. And then people complained about how a rape scene was censored, because instead of showing the rape, they, like, cut away. People complained how it was cut away. Like, wait a minute, because, like, you don't want to see it, do you? Like, we saw the rapes in 13 Reasons Why. And, they're intense. But we didn't see the rape that caused a lot of anger, of the many rapes, but of one particular rape that happened in Game of Thrones. It cut away and focused on the face of someone who was witnessing it and not being able to do anything about it, and people got mad about that. So instead of focusing on her pain, they're focusing on the pain of a man. Like, do you want to watch? Like, what?
You can't win, I guess.
You can't win. You can't win. Fortunately, the creators are like, we got a hit show on HBO. We don't need to listen to this.
Yeah.
I mean, even, like, this woman asked about it to the people, and some of the guys were like, hey, like, guys get, like, oppressed and raped and everything on this show all the time, and nobody complained about it. And the girl was like, well, yeah, but women endure this. Like, men don't. Like, the rape that happened in 13 Reasons Why Season 2, it was a guy getting raped.
Yeah.
And you never see something like that, like, where people are willing to present that there is sexual abuse that does happen to men all the time, and sometimes in the schools. I think that's amazing, because that needs to be addressed. Mm-hmm. And it's addressed, like, all the time in Game of Thrones. Well, not addressed to, like, make a statement or anything. It's just in there because it's in there. But there was a whole season where a man was tortured and sexually abused, like, the entire season until he was brainwashed, and nobody made him. And the actress who played the girl who was raped even was like, that does not make my character weak, you know?
Yeah.
That makes her stronger, because she endured this. Mm-hmm. And I think that people are like, they put rape in as a plot device. Yeah! Everything's a plot device in a show. Like, we need a plot.
If it's not to move the plot forward in some way, then it's filler.
It's filler.
So, I mean, it's going to contribute somehow, or...
It's gotta be, like, it. And I liked it because she was able to kill her assailant, and it was awesome. It was really satisfying, and I loved it. But, I mean, okay, are there scenes sometimes where I've watched shows, and, like, there's a moment that happened, and I'm like, have to be in there? That was kind of, yes, constantly.
Yeah.
But I did not feel that way about that particular scene. Like, that was a definite, like, that happened so this could happen. Like, this was to move a certain plot that they wanted to do with this character. And I loved it. I think the actress did an amazing job. She was looking forward to performing it. When you have the actors on board, it's like, leave them alone. They want to do their job, and they're presenting a story that is not settling. It's not trying to be settling. It's trying to be upsetting. Mm-hmm. It wants to be upsetting. You should be angry by rape. You should be angry by suicide. But don't want the show to cancel, and don't wish death on the people who like it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just do you. If it upsets you, just stay away from it. Don't, like, if you have a good friend who loves the show, and you yourself are affected by it, you can tell that friend if they truly understand, because it's a show. Your friendship should be far more important than any television show. You can tell that friend, hey, look, can we not talk about this show? Mm-hmm. Like, don't ask them to censor their words or watch what they say or anything like that, because then you're going to have an eggshell thing and that's going to cause tension.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, you know what? Can we not talk about this show? Is that okay?
And most likely they'll just be like, sure.
Yeah.
And then just talk about something else.
A good friend will be.
I mean...
And at the same time, if one of your friends is reblogging that stuff or talking about how, oh, yeah, I just hate anyone who likes this show. They're like, hey, best friend of yours here, can you not talk about that show when I'm around, because I know how much you hate it, and it really hurts that you're constantly, like, shaming me for liking it.
Yeah.
Like, you're friends. You should be... And yes, this is on a personal note. I know the two of you watch my show. I love you both, but I wish that the two of my friends would just talk instead of getting mad. Because one feels like the other hates them, one feels like the other hates them. I'm like, you guys don't hate each other. You guys just need to talk. One of you is upset about the show and is reblogging things that is hurting the other person. One of you is very hurt by the situation and feels like this person is being very cruel. And I think you're both right and both wrong at the same time. Talk, you know?
Yeah.
When a friend of mine said that, justifying this character's actions, you can go fuck yourself. I was like, ouch. And we talked. And it was fine, you know? Mm-hmm. It's what friends do. And I feel like you said, people get very, very passionate and they don't want to talk. They want to just get
And I think when people get really passionate about stuff, they don't always choose their words very carefully, and they don't always, like, think that much before they type stuff.
Yeah. People are acting on emotion.
Yeah, and I just think you need to really think before you type something. Because once you put it out there, you can always delete your post, but that's not going to change the... If it affects people, though, that's not going to change. Deleting your post, is going to change that.
It's like, you should really try to fix, like, hey, I said this, I shouldn't have said it.
If you're really angry, I would say probably just don't make a post when you're really angry.
Yes,
like,
do
calm
not
down and think about it.
Angry.
And don't word it in a way that don't tell people to kill themselves, and don't tell people to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
We're all accused of it. We're hypocrites, too. I've gotten angry at a show
Everyone,
or a character.
I know. We're human. Everyone does things in anger. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, it's going to happen. But just try, you know? Yeah. Just please try. Because it's like...
Completely.
You know.
Completely.